Okay, I'm doing a 400 amp fuse service in parallel and going to two 200 amp panels. My question is, for my load side, can I split my parallel service to each panel, or am I required to do a tap? Also, can you explain this tap rule?
Hi, I'm Mike and I'll be assisting you. Please stand by while I review your question. Taps are limited to 10 feet in length, not to exceed 1/3 the amperage of the feed conductors, and need to terminate in an overcurrent device. In high bay ateas the length can be up to 35 feet. Art 430.28. Art 430.28.
Right, my question is, am I required to tap my parallel service, or can I split the parallel conductors in my fused 400 amp disconnect to my two 200 AM main lugs?
You need to tap the parallel service. If you split it, the one set would have a load and the other not.
I guess what I don't get is I have a double mechanical lug for each conductor in my disconnect on my load side, so what will a tap do?
If you parallel the tap conductors to a double lug, that will be acceptable.
Don't you have to double lug in the fused disconnect anyways? You just need to use those tap connectors when you have more than 2 panels or something.
No, it depends on how many conductors per phase. Parallel conductor are considered as one conductor. They need to be treated as a single conductor.
Right, but let's say it's in my case a 400 amp service with just 2 conductors per phase. You have to double lug in the outdoor disconnect. Right, then if you only have 2 panels inside, you wouldn't need to splice it with taps connectors.
If I understand what you stated, you have a disconnect with double lugs on the load terminations and you want to connect 2 runs to 2 panels. If so, yes, you may connect conductors going to 2 panels as long as the other rules are adhered to. Not longer than 10 feet and not exceeding 1/3 the amperage of the feeder.
Okay, so wait, the 2 indoor panels have to be within 10 feet of the outdoor disconnect in order to not have to install a gutter with tap connectors.
If the disconnect is 400A, yes, in order to wire the panels with taps. If you had disconnects for each subfeed, fused for the subfeed, you and wire the panels and not consider the subfeeders taps.
Okay, I'm confused now. In my project, my 2 indoor main lug that are like 60 feet from the 400 amp disconnect that has parallel conductors. In this instance, do I need to install 2 disconnects instead, or can I put a 400 amp fused disconnect and install a gutter and tap to each main lug?
You need 2 fused disconnects at the 400A disconnect for overcurrent protection on the subfeeds to the panels.
Okay, so I would need 2 disconnects next to the 400 amp meter, but if I was within 10 feet I can use a 400 amp, just 1 disconnect.
You need 2 disconnects or 1 400A panel with breakers for the 2 panels.
Okay, when can I use a 400 fused disconnect for 2 main lugs?
As I said, the subfeed from the 400A need to be within 10 feet to disconnects for the 2 panels.
Okay, could I do 2 main breakers 200 amps inside? That should do it, right?
Yes.
Okay, one last question. Let's say, can I put a 400 amp main lug on one side and a 200 amp breaker to the other main lug? That should be good too.
You terminate the parallel 400A on the line double lugs. The subfeed to the 200A disconnects 8 on the load double lugs.
Oh, okay, so I don't even need a 200 amp breaker, just a feed through 400 amp main lug, but on the load side I put less wire, of course.
You need the feed from the 400A disconnect to go to a 200A breaker for each panel.
Also, I was reading about a 25 feet tap rule that doesn't apply here cause it's like 60 feet, but what's 25 feet rule?
Having the 200A breakers make the runs to the panel subfeeders, not taps.
Okay, I got it. In my project I'll get breakers. My question is that there is a 10 feet tap and 25 tap rule. What's the mean?
The feed from the 400A to the 200A has to be under 10 feet.
Right, when does 25 feet apply?
High bay taps. With the 200A breakers, you should be able to locate them within 10 feet from the 400A disconnect.
That's it, sir. THXU.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit justanswer.com/YTHI.